Hello, anybody. And yes, I did say anybody because I don't really expect people to watch my videos. We are watching I Still Think Family Channel Should Not Exist by Andrea Terbia. I think that's how you say that. And yeah, here we go.
You would think by now people would have caught on to the fact that family content is a shady business.
Yep.
After every Daddy-O-5 scandal, Ace family controversy, the Stouffer rehoming incident, and everything else we've already talked about on this channel before, you would think that family content would cease to be a lucrative business model for horrible parents profiting off of their kids. But nope. Here we are again, talking about another one. And a fair warning here, this will probably make you angry. Even if you've got a heart of stone, like legitimately you were diagnosed with a heart of literal stone inside of your chest. It's enough to hear about, let alone watch the clip of the clickbait crying mom to be like, oh, hell nah, bro. This person does not deserve the privilege of being a parent. But it's not just about the actions of one individual. This is a much larger problem, and I feel like it's necessary to take every opportunity available to make this case. Far too often, people gather into a mob and proceed to chase some mommy vlogger off the face of the internet, dusting off their palms in satisfaction, while the very conditions that enable the root of the problem continue to fester under the surface. We're going to talk about all of this in today's video, but before we get into it, I want to take a quick moment to thank our sponsor, Genshin Impact. A lot of you probably know about this game already, but in case you don't, Genshin Impact is an open-world action RPG that's available on PC, Android, iOS, and PlayStation. That's PS4 and PS5, by the way. What I really like about the game is how amazing the animation is. And as an animator myself, that's a make or break factor for me. The colors are just gorgeous, the anime style works really well with the storyline and the gameplay, and you could probably spend hours upon hours upon hours just gliding around, swimming, climbing mountains, or just staring at the jaw-dropping landscapes. And with
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm back. Sorry for the,
new version they've just released, you can now farm and fish. If you're a fishing enthusiast, then this update is for you. It's so immersive, you're gonna love it. They now have new characters, new missions and challenges, new bosses, and a whole lot of reasons to go on new adventures in the mesmerizing world of Teyvat. And the fact that Genshin Impact is free to play is mind-boggling to me. So use my link in the description below to get it on any of your devices and start your adventure today. Thanks again to Genshin Impact for sponsoring us. Now let's get back into the video.
Okay, yep, there.
You may have seen this already, as it's been making the rounds not just on YouTube, but on mainstream media outlets over the past couple of weeks. And although the name of the mother and the child's face have already been put on blast, I don't want to further expose their identities, but rather focus on the mother's actions and what we can learn from this incident. So we're going to call her Jessica. Jessica has, or rather had, a YouTube channel of over 500,000 subscribers. And for a while now, she'd been making family vlog style videos. In a recent one, the family puppy had just been diagnosed with an aggressive contagious disease called parvo. So there's Jessica with her 8-year-old son sitting in the car, being all emotional, talking about the puppy situation. The kid is crying, the mother seems to be crying. She says goodbye, covers the lens with her hand to signify the end of the video, and then accidentally leaves the video unedited for another 30 seconds. Immediately, she drops the emotional act and proceeds to direct her son, telling him to look into the camera and act like he's crying.
Come here, come closer for the video, come closer. Come closer! Act like you're crying. Really quick.
I am crying.
Go like this.
No, Mom, I'm not just usually crying.
No, I know, but go like this. For the video. Put your hand like this. But let them see your mouth. Let them see your mouth.
You can hear the child repeatedly telling her, but mom, I am crying. Because of course, he's terrified for the puppy. And she completely ignores him, continuing to instruct him on how to hold his hand over his eyes to squeeze every drop of emotional reaction out of the people who will eventually click on the thumbnail. I can't even begin to imagine how traumatizing that is for this kid, especially when you think about the possibility that this may not be the first time something like this has happened. The video didn't stay up for long, as Jessica realized she had messed up and took it down within a few minutes. But the internet is not one to
minutes.
easily let things slide. And seeing the footage be re-uploaded countless times, Jessica jumped on camera to make an apology. Now this is where most channels started dogpiling and mustering a hate mob against her for making a horrible apology video. And I want to make it very clear, I do think her actions are absolutely reprehensible,
Yeah,
and her
they're
follow-up
not
video did not
I mean,
help
they're
her case at all. But I
unforgivable.
also think it's important to approach the
Sound like I was
subject from a
talking about
wider
her, but I'm
perspective. It's not as simple as Jessica is a terrible person, let's bully her into deleting her social media, which by the way is what happened next. I think it's so important to try and understand her reasoning, not to excuse her actions, but to recognize the mechanisms that have led to her behaving in the way that she did. And by listening to her go on a podcast and talk about the incident from her perspective, her justifying thought pattern starts to emerge.
Justifying.
Soon after she was cancelled, Jessica went on a podcast titled The Dad Challenge, where she spoke about everything that had happened.
I do believe in my heart that I have enough to offer as a woman without including my child in my content, and this is something even before yesterday's incident, genuinely, honestly, that I've been internally battling with. And my mom has talked to me recently a few times and said, hey, you really have to prioritize his mental health. But I have included him because I have him 24/7. My parents will have him on a weekend or whatever, but he's with me all the time. It's kind of hard
All
to
the time.
daily vlog without him and the puppy. I cannot just quit this job and do something else. Like, I have created this life for us, which I am innately so proud of.
I think it's so interesting to hear about her thought process and to see this internal conflict between knowing that she's navigating a
and
dangerous
your
line and yet
children.
continuing to do so because it's the option that's the most financially
Keep it
viable.
money.
And it makes me wonder how many of these family channels are weighing the same set of options but have not yet been exposed for crossing that line. And then there's the
how
layers
many?
of justification that go into this type of
How many? Oh, great. An ad. I can't even skip it. I'm gonna get copyright. No, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. No, don't look.
lifestyle. Psychology research points to 6 common strategies that people use to justify unethical behavior, such as placing the actions in a morally gray area, believing the outcome will benefit others, highlighting one's own moral credentials, symbolical cleansing, partially coming clean, and finally, demonizing those who have done worse. And oddly enough, a lot of these points are reflected in Jessica's statements. She is, quote-unquote, proud of the life she's built for her and her son, pointing out how the YouTube money is helping the family situation. She's partially coming clean by stating that she's been thinking about not using her child in her videos for quite some time, though again, she didn't really take action until she was aggressively called out. She's also resorting to demonizing those who have done worse by saying,
it was a terrible, terrible thing of me to fake my child making an emotional thumbnail, but someone telling me I'm doing child abuse when there's real people out there who are not feeding their kids and beating their kids. That not only to me is offensive, it makes me incredibly emotional because I know how much I genuinely love my child.
now, of course, there's levels to what
really love her, though?
looks like, but saying that emotional abuse doesn't count because other parents resort to physical abuse is a non-argument, and it falls exactly within the bounds of what researchers identify as self-justification.
He loves, like, he'll wake up and he'll be like, he'll build something, like a paper airplane, whatever. He'll be like, Mom, show him. Like,
Yeah.
he knows we've built this community and he likes that, but there are times, I will admit, where he's over it, 100%, and that's just something I have to face. And I've asked him before, he is old enough now, he's fully conscious, he's 8. We had to talk about if he wants to be on camera anymore, and he's fully conscious of saying yes or no, but I'm aware that because he's not 18, it's ultimately the parent's choice.
Now, this last clip was
Really?
probably the
No,
one that's
it's
most
still the
difficult for
child's
me to
choice.
listen to, because on one hand, you can't tell someone how to parent their kids. That's always going to be a losing battle. But to me, saying that a child is, and I quote, fully conscious at 8 years old, and the fact that he gets excited to share things with their audience not only does not justify family vlogging, but it proves the exact opposite. Of course he's going to be eager to show them his paper plane. It's that
goodness, what the
dopamine
heck?
rush that even adults can't handle. Throwing that into the already complicated climate of a young developing mind is doing a type of damage that has not even been fully researched yet. And again, this is not just about Jessica. It's not about the one incident where she forced her child to cry for a thumbnail. I believe she isn't even fully aware of what she's putting her kid through. This lady's behavior is just a representation of the current culture on the internet. It's not the first controversy surrounding family vlogging, and it certainly won't be the last. Unfortunately, it's probably going to take years, if not decades, before we realize the harmful effects of practices that are so common right now you wouldn't even think to question them. Take the now infamous case of Christy, for example, where she was confronted by her 4th grade daughter to stop writing about her on her blog, to which the mother replied, and I quote, "That is not possible. I'm not done exploring my motherhood in my writing." The girl begged her mother to stop sharing her life and her pictures online, but because the parent has full discretion over what she can and can't do, the child is left with no other option than to wait until she will turn 18. In fact, another case from Austria shows how an 18-year-old girl appears to have sued her parents for posting pictures of her throughout the years, which she now sees as a breach of her privacy. It's obvious to me that this is a bubbling situation that will only continue to spread, and as outlandish as it may sound now for children to sue their parents, I think we're going to start seeing this happen more and more as the younger generation continues to grow up. If you haven't seen my previous video on why family content is dangerous, click up here to go more in depth on this topic, and if you have, let me know all of your thoughts on everything that we've discussed down below. What do you think is the solution to all of this? Because it's clear as daylight that it's a problem that continues to fester. Do you think it will ever become clear to family vloggers that it's not okay to prioritize content over their children's well-being? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.
Okay, well that was my video on I Still Think the Family Channel Shouldn't Exist by Andrea Terbia. And I accidentally said my video, it's his video, but I'm just reacting to it. Thank you all, anybody, and goodbye.